What's the key to happiness? Some people say there are three aspects of happiness. You got health, you got wealth, and you got love. And if you get all three of those, you're happy. Now, I would argue that happiness actually has nothing to do with health, wealth, or love. I believe that happiness comes from the inside. No external factor can influence your happiness more than convincing yourself that you're already happy. Happiness itself as a concept is something that is impossible to capture. Meaning, what is happiness? Is it being smiley all the time? Is it being positive all the time? Is it a general contentment with your life? What is happiness? Does happiness mean that you have no more conflict? Does happiness mean that you have a lot of conflict even? If we're defining stuff, let's define it. What is happiness? What does that even mean? For me, happiness means safety and like a general contentment with what's going on. Like if I'm in an environment and I feel like I'm not going to get robbed or like beat up or that sort of stuff, then I'm happy. If I'm in a relationship and I feel like no one's playing psychological games, then I'm happy. If I'm making enough money that I don't have to worry about whether dinner costs $15 or $50, then I'm happy. So happiness for me is removal of all of the anxiety that goes into a normal person's life. And I guess I'll add social anxiety as well on top of it. Happiness to me is also not being afraid to say what you think, not being afraid to sell yourself in a business meeting. That's all part of happiness too. So how do you get to that point? Because I remember when I was a kid, I was so socially anxious. I didn't say a word my entire freshman year of high school. I didn't really have any friends. Everyone thought I was a weird kid. And sophomore year of high school. I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, the first 2 years of high school, I barely talked to anybody. And probably it was because my dad died. And then, I had a new stepdad in the mix and we moved schools 2 or 3 times. And it was hard to introduce myself to people, whatever. Like you can have all these external factors, whatever that cause it. But what it really was, looking back, was I didn't really feel that confidence. I didn't really feel that happiness in myself. I wasn't able to go out there. I thought that you needed to think before you talked. I thought that you needed to hesitate before you moved. And neither of those are true. One thing that really helped me in general in terms of achieving happiness is the 5-second rule. So if you think you want to do something, and as long as it's a positive thing for you, then give yourself 5 seconds and take action in under 5 seconds. And I do that for work too. Like I found myself making a to-do list this morning for something that I thought I was going to do in a couple days. And then I just realized like in the amount of time that it's taken me to write this to-do list, I could just do the work and then I won't ever have to think about it again. And then I sat down and it did actually take me longer than it would have taken me to do the to-do list, right? It took me like 30 minutes, but that work was done. And now that day in the future, I'll have less work to do. I'm happier. Done. So that's how you improve your happiness as an entrepreneur is you just get more comfortable. Recently, I lost my Rolex, or I thought I lost my watch in a hotel. The staff stole it is what I was thinking. But instead of freaking out and yelling at everybody, I was like, all right, I got insurance, dude. If someone takes it, it's fine. And so I didn't stress about that. I didn't feel unhappy about that. And in a few days, what happened? I opened up my backpack. Turns out my watch was there in a different pocket. So if I had stressed that whole time, all of a sudden, I'm growing gray hairs. I'm getting closer to a heart attack. I'm taking years off my life. For what? For a watch that was already there in the backpack the whole time? And that's a good allegory for our life. How many things do we stress about? How many things do we let ruin our happiness that don't matter at all? I bet it's a lot. So I try not to think about anything like that. Part of it is having insurance. Part of it is having like backups of your data files. Like true wealth is measured by how anxious you would be if somebody stole your laptop, or if you left your laptop behind in a hotel room. And for me, somebody could steal this laptop. Somebody could break this laptop. And it would be kind of annoying to drive to the Apple store and buy a new one, but it's not like I would lose any files or priceless heirlooms. It's all backed up in the cloud and money is just money. Like I would get a new one, whatever, I'd figure it out. So that's where true happiness comes from as an entrepreneur. It comes from the removal of anything that would make you unhappy. And that doesn't mean the removal of anything that would make you stressed. I feel stress, but it's positive stress. It's like stress when you play a video game and you're in Call of Duty and you're trying to like get the #1 spot, or really Halo is better for me. Like you're in Halo 3 online and you're trying to get the top spot. That's stress. That's not real stress though. That's stress in a game that you're playing. And you're happy while you're doing it, right? You're having fun. That is what happiness feels like as an entrepreneur. It feels like you're having fun, and yeah, there's stress. Yeah, there's ups and downs of the game. Like, oh, if I send a message like this, will it work? No. Okay. Oh, if I send a message like this, will it work? No. Darn. What if I send a message like this? Oh, I made 30 sales. You know, so I'm happy. In all 3 scenarios, I'm happy. Even though 2 of the scenarios, I guess, are the same scenario. Although one is like the second time you try. So in all cases, as long as you're playing the game, you're happy. That's where true happiness comes from. It comes from inside, and it comes from building out your support systems. I have good relationships with my parents because I take an effort to find things in common with my mom. I call her all the time whenever I can, once a month. Probably not as much as I should, honestly. But I call her enough, and we're cordial. My stepdad, I give him gifts all the time. You know, he loves Florida Gators. I send him Gator hats. I try to make an effort in the relationships because at the end of the day, if I have good relationships with my parents, now I'm not thinking, oh, why do my parents hate me? You know what I'm saying? Like, by taking proactive action to make your relationships good with your family and friends, now you don't have any of the BS self-talk, all that BS negative talk that weights you down. By taking the action to make your finances good, now you don't have any of the BS negative talk about being broke or thinking about money. I never think about money. And when I do, it's just in terms of it being a game. I don't really look at receipts. I don't really know what things cost. And it's beautiful that way. It's so nice. So if you want true happiness, you need true freedom from that sort of stuff. And that doesn't mean get super rich. All that means is maybe lower your lifestyle. So you're spending $2,000 a month instead of $5,000 a month. And that way, anytime you make over $2,000 a month, you're good to go. And if your salary is $5,000 a month, then you're really good to go. And you're just happy all the time. Or at least that big part of your unhappiness is removed. The other big one would be health. I'm lucky enough to not have any sort of like recurring health problems. I don't really have shin splints, or like my knees aren't bad, or any of that stuff. And I could thank my parents for that, for not making me do sports as a kid. I think doing sports as a kid is why everyone gets so injured. I would assume, because everyone else was playing sports. I was just playing video games, and now I'm fine and they're in pain. Some people just get unluckier and they have health problems. And I don't think there's really anything you can do about those. So sometimes you're going to have to suffer through the health problems, and it's really annoying. But if you really want to be happy as an entrepreneur, you need to identify things that take up massive pieces of your brain and try to remove them, whether it's money stress, whether it's work stress, whether it's relationship stress or health stress. You need to take those things and throw them away so that you can live life in the now. Because in the now, everything's fine. In the now, you're comfortable, you're in a nice house, you have fast internet, everyone loves you, and that's where true happiness lies, in the now. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to smash that like button to encourage this type of content on YouTube, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.